All right, what's up, YouTube? Mr. Still coming back at you again. So I had a really interesting conversation last night with a Uber rider I was giving an Uber ride to, and smart, um, slightly older woman. She was visiting family here in Texas, and it lives in Boston. And so we got onto politics a little bit, and it was very cordial though. Like, I love it when you can have a conversation and everybody doesn't get cheers. By the way, dude, this matcha latte, I made this myself. It's fire. Trying to cut back on my espresso and have more matcha. So I'm only doing a double shot of espresso every day now, and then I'm doing a matcha latte with some ceremonial matcha. Okay, so anyway, as always, not legal advice or financial advice. Let's jump into it. So yeah, I pick her up at the Stockyards, which is like a super hoppin' place to be. It's like the iconic spot to go to in Fort Worth, especially if you're visiting, if you want to see like the Western saloony, cobblestone, and they have just like lots of bars and restaurants and stuff like that. And it really gets popping. And we were actually talking about that for a little bit because there's a bit of a wave going through, I think, the whole country, where it's kind of okay to be country again. It's kind of okay to be conservative, which I am so freaking psyched to see, because I just think so many people were just getting this hoity-toity, fucking look down on you type of attitude. And it seems a lot. I mean, I dropped off the other day two New York girls into the Stockyards. Unfortunately, it was about to storm, and so they were super bummed. But they were like, "Man, we're the Cowboys," da 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 da. And I was like, "Man, all right, all right, cool." So I mean, aside from the wave of back to more traditional roots, ethics, values, a little bit more of a conservative perspective, you're also getting this movement. I mean, a lot of people never stop being country. Don't get me wrong. I'm from Louisiana, and I've spent the last over 10 years in Texas. So I'm straight Texan, and plenty of people never stopped being country. But there was definitely this like modernization, and people we're kind of gravitating towards this more like city boy, city girl kind of vibes, in my opinion, at least, especially like Dallas, man. I just avoid Dallas like the plague now almost. I mean, yeah, Dallas might as well be a liberal city up north at this point, honestly. Still lots of cool stuff about Dallas, but yeah, I mean, I avoid it mostly because of like the traffic, and people are like mean. It's like the big city, man. Eventually, it's like everything. People are moving so fast, and they're stressed, and they're tense, and and they're like fuck you, da 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 da. Anyway, so to get back to my story, so I'm giving this lady a ride home, and we're talking politics and all of that, and she goes, she's like, apparently, like, she's like, we were talking about like, hey, what's Boston? She goes, oh yeah, Boston's extremely democratic. And I go, okay, cool. Are you a Democrat? And she goes, no, I'm actually a Republican. And I was like, really? Yeah. She goes, yeah, I'm on a bit of an island. But then she goes, like, as if I was going to attack her. She goes, oh, but I don't like Trump. I'm not a Trump Republican. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I was like, well, I don't really think I'd identify as a Republican, but yeah, I do like Trump. He makes me laugh. I can understand why some people don't like him. He can be, he can be a lot. I get it, but I've got pretty thick skin. He makes me laugh, and I honestly think he was the 100% best choice for the of the two choices given, and one of the biggest, coolest, most appealing thing about him is not necessarily just him, it's his team. I was explaining to her, like, as a more, in my early 20s, a more, leaning more moderate, pro legalization of marijuana, partying, going to music fest, stuff like that. I was just around a lot more progressive, liberal, like there was this one girl, and she had like a really close gay friend, so I had to kind of be really cool with this guy who just happened to be gay, because obviously I'm chasing tail, right? I'm trying to get in good with, and the guy ended up being a really cool guy, and we were friends for a while. But I'm hanging out with all of these very liberal people, and I'm gravitating a little bit more moderately. I'm hearing other viewpoints, coming from a more conservative upbringing. I think that moderated me a little bit, and that was healthy for me to see and hang out with those types of people, etc., right? And, you know, I was explaining to her, like, as someone who was like very moderate, especially in my early 20s after moving to Dallas, I felt like the entire like pendulum shifted so far left, it made me more conservative than I even was, like being slightly conservative, like moderate, open-minded, but having a lot of traditional values, kind of raised to be more of a traditional masculine guy, and that kind of stuff. Believing in God, holding doors open for women. This is just how I was raised, and the longer I live, the more right it seems, honestly. And so she goes, "Yeah, I hear you," but I start pointing out to her that you know as a person who can sit down with just about anyone and have a conversation with, whether it's an atheist or a radical liberal or whoever, right? I'm happy. I enjoy having those conversations with people who think differently than me. I want to hear your thoughts and ask you questions, maybe even challenge your views a little bit or have you challenge mine. And I point out to her, I go, like I say exactly what I just said, which is a lot of the appeal was Trump's team and who he surrounded himself with versus the first term he did. And a lot of those people are actually like lifelong Democrats. Like a lot of the Democrats that were appealing to a younger person like me, who's a little more conservative, have jumped ship. The Democratic Party ran away. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, There's quite a few who were like lifelong Democrats, and the Democratic Party chewed out. And then we talked about how dirty the party did Bernie back when Hillary ran, and how Bernie, in my opinion, was kind of like one of the, and even though I disagree a lot with Bernie's policies, he felt authentic and not bought out, not bought and paid for. And it felt like he finally sold himself out. He kowtowed when they told him, you're going to shut up and let Hillary, and, you're going to back Hillary and blah, blah, blah. And ever since then, Bernie has just kind of seemed to be a sellout now. So, yeah. And she was, for the most part, agreeing. And then we started talking about, like, well, what do you not like about Trump? I'm curious to hear, what you got. And this is what the episode's going to be back today. She couldn't really come up with like any really decent, like, I mean, the first thing she said was, "Oh, well, he got the African, yeah, the South African thing wrong. He was holding up these pamphlets and whatever about um, people being murdered in South Africa, but that was actually the Congo." And I was like, "Oh!" And I had seen it pop up on my feed, the press release with Trump and the president of South Africa, and I had caught like maybe 60 seconds of it or something, but I hadn't caught the whole thing yet. And so I wasn't really able to rebuttal or discuss it. And so on this episode, what I want to do is I want to dive into this and see if Trump got it wrong. If that video, so I did go back and I watched more of that video with the South African president, who, shout out to the South African president. He seems to be, extremely professional, very cordial, very intelligent, have a good suave demeanor about himself. And again, I haven't done enough research yet to know, like, Trump plays this video of like a mob or like almost like this civic center arena of a bunch of Africans who are basically shouting, kill the white farmers and all of that. And that's what her and I were talking about. And she's claiming, I guess she saw it on CNN or wherever, who knows, that Trump got this wrong, that video and where that is actually happening is in the Congo. And so today on this episode, what I want to do is I want to research this with y'all and see who's right. No dog in this fight. I'm curious, because her alleged statement, and these rhino Republicans who don't like Trump they're really more so almost Democrats at this point, in my opinion. And again, a lot of us young people, I'm 33 and I can relate to millennials and Gen Z and even alphas. I just don't think we have a political home. I think we're political homeless. Whether you're moderately left or moderately right, maybe you're a little younger. And I think the saying goes true. When you're young, if you're not liberal, you don't have a heart. And when you get older, if you're not conservative, you don't have a brain. I think as you mature, your ethics, your morals. You get more real world experience. You see how the world works, the realities of it, and you can hold on to your empathetic and heartfelt, good desires and goodwill towards people, and wanting to have this empathetic, approach towards life, which I think is great. I think you have to have grace and mercy, and, having gratitude and humbleness. These things will make you such a more enjoyable person. They will make you, and they will selfishly, they will make you just happier. You will have a better life. Sometimes giving isn't just about, helping someone else. It's about helping yourself, right? It's about, having a, um, a heart posture towards helping others, and as well as helping yourself. And so, yeah, today what I want to do is I want to do a little digging on this comment that my Uber rider made last night on whether or not that South African uh, president and Trump that aired yesterday, whether or not Trump got it right, and um, if that's going on in South Africa, or if it's incorrect and that's the Congo. So let's jump in and do a little digging. Let's see what's going on here. So let's just start off with like super standard stuff. Was Trump wrong about South Africa murders of white farmers? Trump's image of dead white farmers came from Reuters footage in Congo. Okay, so this is Reuters. Okay. What? But there was a video he played. I couldn't, like, no one could even see this image that Reuters has pulled up. Like, you couldn't really even see. This looks like a pandemic photo from like COVID too. I don't know. Okay, so Reuters is obviously, this is where this lady is getting her Congo comment. The Democratic Republic of Congo. Wednesday is evidence of mass. These are all white farmers that are being buried, said Trump. Yeah, I saw that part. I mean, as contentious as the meeting was, I think the South African president was extreme, like, I mean, really well behaved. And I don't think Trump was like, I mean, I think he's been told, hey man, like people are dying. And so he pressed this for sure. If you believe this, anyone who's a decent person, if they truly believe like people are dying in any country, and you're being like, I mean, because he basically is saying that we're getting lots of immigration requests, like thousands of immigration requests from people fleeing South Africa for fear of their life. So there's obviously more to the story than just this little one image that may be wrong. But let's dig in a little bit more. Let's dig in. I mean, and see all of these. I don't trust any of these. BBC, NPR, PBS, CNN. I don't trust any of these things. Let's look at it. Like, I mean, in Fox, I don't trust Fox either. But let's see what Fox is saying to get a different. Okay, Trump used photos of wrong countries. Okay, yeah. So I do think she's probably right if she was talking about this one image. But my question is even though he used an incorrect image, are people still dying in South Africa? Are white farmers being killed in South Africa? Seeing it's just all more of this stuff, man. So they're debunking this image, which I'm willing to, yeah, like, okay, cool. I think we're gonna have to go to YouTube, man. Like, it's so hard to get, and obviously we're on Google too, so it's so hard to. Let's do Brave. Give me one sec. Let's do a different search browser. Are white farmers being killed in South Africa? Yeah, and I know this is a very contentious topic. I'm generally curious about all of this. Image of dead white farmers. Okay, so here's all the same stuff. Intellectual dark web. Live in fear. Okay. White farm murders in South Africa. Race, hate, politics, or greed. Okay. I mean, there was this video that Trump played, and I believe the video does come from South Africa. Let's do South.
Has not made them more positive in their outlook on themselves.
Oh,
or
this is a
on
video I was
life.
watching, so sorry about that. At least I know the output's working. Yeah, this is a guy doing a review of Wesley Hoff on Flagrant, which is really good. Okay, so South African kill the white farmers. Because that's like what they were chanting in this video that Trump, white genocide, news about, okay. Yeah, but I'm looking for, okay. Yeah, this is the video.
So what you're listening to is a video of a South African political leader, Julius Malema, chanting "Kill the Boer" in a now viral clip that has even gotten the attention of South African-born billionaire Elon Musk. The Boer in the song is a reference to white South African farmers who are descendants of European colonists known as Boers, who although are the racial minority, are now majority landowners in the country. The song dates back to South Africa's apartheid system of race based on segregation under white minority rule, which only ended in the early 1990s. Malema led these chants during a packed rally of nearly 100,000 people at an event marking the 10th anniversary of his political party, Economic Freedom Fighters, in Johannesburg, which is South Africa's largest city. Musk claims that organizers were openly pushing for genocide of white people in South Africa, but many historians and journalists, including Malema in a 2022 statement, have argued that the song is not meant to be taken literally, rather to mobilize support against discrimination of the majority black population who still feel the effects of apartheid decades later.
Okay, so I think she did a very articulate job explaining this. I absolutely understand the complexities and the contentiousness of this, right? You have a bunch of European people who basically immigrated here and colonized, right? And took land that was not theirs to take, which, in all fairness, this is like welcome to world history. Like everyone's land they took from someone else, right? It's just the way of, I mean, like the Native Americans here in America, right? Like before the Europeans showed up, they were just taking each other's land too, right? There was like, I watched an entire video on like giving land back to Native American tribes, and it's like, well, this tribe took it from that tribe, so who do we give it back to, right? So this is when it comes to some of this stuff, and I always like to, I have a really good friend and client of mine who's hyper intelligent. We have really great conversations. I really enjoy like having a cigar and playing chess with him, but he is a very Malcolm X type of individual. He's very knowledgeable, but it's very hard to have sometimes conversations in nuance like this. And so in this case, you know, I know what he would say. He would be like, yeah, they're right. They should just kill these white people and blah, blah, blah. Right. So I think killing people is wrong. Right. Now, I don't think it justifies what maybe initially happened when this land was taken. Fair enough. And so this is a very complex issue, but I think it's hard for her last comment was it's not meant to be taken literally. The whole kill the white farmer. That's a bit of a stretch. I mean, there's a better video of this. Kill the Boer. Okay. Let's look up Kill the Boer. I'd like to see the whole video. Kill the Boer. Okay. Kill the Boer. Why did Mama chant the song? Yeah, but I want the full video. Okay, let's see this. That's a lot of people, y'all. I mean, that is a full arena. Let's look at the comments. For Trump and Trump. Yep, that's me. I'm here. It's the main opposition to Nkosi. Super catchy.
the Boer, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa.
He's making like gun noises.
Attention.
Okay, so, man. Okay, so here's an interview of this guy. Interview. How long ago was this? This was 2 years ago.
Welcome to Hard Talk from Johannesburg. I'm Stephen Saka. For 29 years, South Africa's national politics has been dominated by the African National Congress. But right now, the ANC is in big trouble.
So this video that we just watched is what Trump played with the South African president. And so I think like when you Google this and this is all you see, this is very disingenuous because what they did is he held out, I mean, probably like a dozen different sheets of paper with examples of, you know, the claims, right? Like, you know, first he's like, hey man, we're getting a lot of requests for immigrants, like hundreds, if not thousands of requests of immigrants, predominantly white South Africans who are literally fearful for their life. And they're trying to immigrate to the America. And Trump's like, hey, I want to kind of help resolve this. Like, what's going on? In his more Trumpy way of doing this, but in general, right? Like, I think any good, decent president, if they were getting this kind of stuff from requested immigration and they're being told, hey, man, like, and I think it's more about not the taking of the land, which I think is we could have a real conversation about that, but they're literally fearful for their lives. And so he played the video we just watched, the Kill the Boer, and then he held up like tons of like maybe like a dozen different sheets that he's been given by, you know, someone in his administration. And it looks like one of those pieces of paper, the photo was wrong. This is actually, so apparently there's genocide going on in the Congo of white Africans, I guess, or something. And so this piece of paper, according to all of these very mainstream bought corporate news medias who are bought and paid for, you know, instead of going through and doing a full, like, let's look at this completely, kind of like what I'm doing, they found one thing that's incorrect and they're trying to discredit the entire claim, right? And so I think this is why you have to be very careful about the media. They're so disingenuous. Because, I mean, obviously, Trump played that video, right? That was like his primary evidence. Is like, and then he asked the president of South Africa, and I think the South African president did a really good job. He denounced that. He goes, hey, this is not a reflection of our governmental policy, of our constitution that we have. We do not support these views, but we also have a democratic process and rights of expression and freedom of speech, and those things are protected by our constitution. So these people in this is a niche political party, and they're allowed to have these views. I don't agree with them, right? And I mean, what a great job. And so I will say Trump could have been informed a little bit better on this topic, and it seems like, again, he had kind of heard enough. And again, I think a lot of people, like when you're hearing this kind of stuff, you're like, okay, hey, people are dying. I want to try to help stop this. Let's just make this happen, right? And so you kind of just, bull in a china shop through this thing to try to like approach the situation to start getting a handle on it. And I think I'm confident, the South African president said, hey, I want to talk about this further. Obviously, I would like to do this, not in front of the media, and see what we can do to try to, resolve this or discuss this, hear your concerns. And I think that's absolutely right. That's what we should be doing. But they're saying this is not happening. Suggest a genocide of white farmers. And then they found one piece of evidence that's actually from the Congo, where it's happening in the Congo too. That doesn't necessarily mean that this isn't also happening in South Africa. And honestly, after watching that last video, I mean, I can understand South Africans being afraid if they're white. And again, there's a whole conversation of, do they have a right to this land? Was this land stolen from real South Africans that were indigenous to the area, et cetera, et cetera. I hear you. Okay. I hear you. I had a African girl in my Uber yesterday, and we had a really, not yesterday, 2 days ago, and we had a really good conversation about all of this. And she's conflicted too, you know? I mean, she doesn't want to hurt anyone, but obviously there's a bad taste in her mouth when it comes to the ancestors of these white South Africans that came over, and they view this land as stolen or taken, or, you know, not there was not a fair trade of value. You know, I don't know if some of the ancestors were given like a very small sum of money or something and kind of taken advantage of. I don't know. I don't know, right? But I do think that the woman I drove yesterday is, again, you get these clickbaity upfront claims, and you just like, she just goes, oh, he's completely wrong. Trump was, because this is what she said too. She goes, yeah, Trump was completely wrong. He got the wrong country. He doesn't even know where the Congo is, right? He thought it was South Africa, blah, 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 blah. And that's like, dude, this is straight propaganda. And again, of twisting of the truth. Now, just like my buddy Philip, who again is like this very big intellectual Malcolm X type of guy, you know, he's not going to have a lot of empathy for these white South Africans. I can already tell you that. He's going to say like, you know, like, yeah, these people stole it and they deserve to, you know, get what's fucking coming to them and all of that crap. So, you know, I understand there's a very complicated discussion that's going to revolve around these white South, and this has been going on for years, right? I understand why there's this, right? Obviously, you know, chanting "let's murder them" is probably not gonna go too well. It's not gonna go over in this more modern day times that we have. Not that what was done to these people is looked at any more fondly, but, you know, you just can't condone murdering people, right? I mean, yeah, you can't condone murdering people. And the complexities of history are vast. Everyone's been taking each other's shit forever. That's kind of the name of the game. You know, it's like chances are these people's ancestors at some point took this shit from someone else. You know what I'm saying? Like, life is very complicated. You know, it's like my roommate, he's black, right? And we talk about, you know, racism, you know, the history of slavery, stuff like that, you know, and he always makes a good point that, you know, it wasn't white Europeans that were running through Africa collecting up, for the most part, collecting up Africans, right? You know, I don't remember what comedian makes a good joke about this, but, you know, it's like, good fucking luck, you know, like these fat white people in pompadours and boots chasing, you know, whoever through the fucking jungle. Good fucking luck. Like, no, man, that was other Africans for the most part who were going into other tribes and, you know, enslaving these people and then selling them to white Europeans and putting them on boats, right? So, and obviously I don't know a lot about this. I'm not going to talk in too much detail. And obviously I'm well aware I'm white, but this is just to point out how you have to be extremely cautious of the mainstream media, because they're going to twist and turn all of this crap. And again, this is a complicated, very nuanced discussion about the history of South Africa. And I'm sure Trump and the president of South Africa are going to have some discussions and try to see what they can do. Now, again, I haven't seen any proof that white South Africans are being killed. There's just this video and some other claims, right? So I think more digging is going to have to be done. And again, the mainstream media is not doing a very good job of, like, the state response to violent crime on South Africa. That the vast majority of victims of violent crime in South Africa are black and poor. Yeah, well, there's more black South Africans, so that makes sense. Oh man, I'm not going to read all this. The killings were dubbed farm murders and were said to be orchestrated by shadowy forces, possibly connected to new government named it. Okay. Okay, South African court dismiss white genocide myth. According to some supremacist groups, white farmers are being murdered at higher rates than the rest of the population. Okay. Okay, here we go. President Trump is right about what's happening in South Africa. And obviously, this is literally whitehouse.gov. So this is, coming straight from. Today, President Donald Trump showed the world's shocking treatment of white farmers in South Africa, including the video montage that highlighted the discrimination and violence targeted at innocent minority victims. We left because of, okay, Trump's was exactly right. Said one South African refugee.
Bolter, and he joins me now. Alexander, thanks for being with us, and welcome to the United States. I would love to ask you, as you listen to some of the sound we played today from the Oval Office, what is your reaction to the president of South Africa?
I think he did a very bad job today. I think President Trump was ready with the receipts. I think he could have brought a bit more. I think specifically talking about how Julius Malema, how he not only has not done anything against him, but he's also openly said that he endorses Malema, that he is ANC at heart, that he wants Julius Malema back into the ANC.
Okay, so I listened to the press conference with Trump and the South African president, and he was like, yeah, we don't share these views. So this guy's saying he has openly said the opposite before. So, and again, like, I'm having to go to X to get the other side of all of this now. So this guy is, I mean, from his accent, he's obviously a South African citizen. I mean, he doesn't look super rich or anything. I mean, I guess, I don't know if he's like a farmer, one of these like South African farmers. Let's get this.
So he's not only not said anything against him, he's come out in support of him.
And
he's also made mention.
Go ahead.
Sorry. He's also made mention, and I wish that President Trump had also showed this, that he will boil the Afrikaners like a frog. So it's not just that he doesn't know what's going on or that he doesn't understand. He knows what's going on. He's doing this intentionally.
So Julius Malema,
well, that's obviously contentious. I'm not going to take this guy either at his word. I'm not going to take any of these people, from Trump to the South African president to, obviously there was like several South African news reporters who were like, what's it going to take for you to believe that there's not a white genocide and stuff? So obviously it seemed the mainstream, the liberal and the mainstream news here in America, as well as South Africa, are of the, they're of the proclivity that there's not a white genocide. And this is more about like a freedom of speech. And these people are upset about the historical, stealing of land, right? Which seems like, yeah, that's understandable, right? And so, but also, to say, I haven't seen any proof that these attacks are necessarily happening, but I haven't seen any proof that these attacks are not happening. And obviously, if this guy is fleeing, maybe it's just the comments, it's just this political movement. But if there's an entire political party chanting to basically kill you, I can understand you wanting to get out of Dodge. So in all fairness, it's definitely fear-mongering, and I am sympathetic to some degree. This guy is obviously very unhappy with how the South African president handled it, and he's giving a different account and a different perspective. I don't know what is to be true, because again, in front of the news, in front of Donald Trump, I mean, he didn't directly, but he dismissed like, hey, this does not represent our government views, and we do not, this is not a representation of our personal policies within the South African government. That's kind of the gist of what he said. So yeah, this is yeah.
Anyone listening is the opposition party in South Africa. He was dismissed this afternoon as a small political minority. He has outlandishly called for violence towards white farmers, the death, the murder of white farmers, and as you just shared with us as well, boiling white farmers like a frog. Let's learn about your...
Okay, I can't. I'm not logged in, so yeah, we'll just watch it.
Personal experience, Alexander. What happened with you and your family in South Africa?
Okay, well, I grew up on a farm. mostly. When I was very young, I wasn't on a farm. And then when I was around maybe 12, we moved to a farm until I was about 17. We left because of the attacks. You can't stay on a farm as a white person in South Africa. You know you'll be killed. And eventually my father said it's not worth it. We have to just flee. So he went over to Zambia, and we stayed in South Africa to try to get an education, finish things up. But I've been the victim of many attacks. When I was 7 years old, it's probably my youngest experience. I was hospitalized at the school because I went to the bathroom and I was attacked by black students because they did not believe I should be there. So that was, I've been attacked many times after that as well, but it also goes to show even the children are indoctrinated into believing that white people are the enemy and that we are evil. And I've never felt welcome in South Africa. I've always felt targeted.
All right. Let's see what else we got here in this. The Daily Mail, BBC. I didn't come here for fun. Okay, defends refugee. Okay, here's BBC. All right. We can get a little bit of a, different. I didn't come here for fun. Afrikaner defends refugee status in USA. Okay. Sorry about the ads,
still winning
y'all.
big at Chumba Casino?
Absolutely.
Sorry about the
signed up
ads.
yet?
Let's mute this. Let's see what we're saying. So last week, 46-year-old Charles Kleinhaus was living on his family farm in Providence in South Africa with its scenic beauty, wildlife, and decadence is known as the place for the sunrise. His new home for now is a budget hotel near an American highway. He and dozens of other white South Africans were moved.
White, you're wrong in South Africa.
Right.
You're a land thief. You are a racist. The whole time it's being told, and there is racist white people, plenty of them.
You say you're not a racist white person?
No, not at all. I've got many black friends. I think I've got more African black men as friends as white friends. I'm tired of being told just because I'm white, I'm a thief. Just because I'm white, I'm wrong in this. I had nothing to do with apartheid. Nothing, nothing, nothing.
Is there anything specific that's happened, Charles, that made you think, I've got to get out of here? I've got to leave?
After the death rates and stuff and my machinery being cut up, and I'm still, after reporting everything to the police, not getting any protection or anything like that, the only thing that's left on my farm is a sign that says mining area. All the fences has been taken off, boom gates has been broken off.
There are voices out there, including the South African president, who has called you cowards.
Yeah.
You've got other Afrikaners who are saying that you're not refugees, you're opportunists, that you've abandoned the country. What would you say to those people?
I had to leave a 5-bedroom house, which I will lose now because I'm not going to pay for it, behind, my car behind, my dogs behind, my mother behind. It is not
Did you say his mother?
I didn't come here for fun, but my children are safe.
What was it like when you got off the shuttle bus and came into that hangar and were greeted by the Trump administration?
It was overwhelming. I didn't expect that because I thought we're going to be in a shuttle bus, taken somewhere, and we must start working. All of us that is there, we know we're going to start here from the bottom because we are the new people here. We're going to start from the bottom.
Do you ever worry that you might be caught up in some big political game here? That you're a pawn somehow?
Yeah, it's a scary thing, but people mustn't think we're just taking advantage of this. We're coming here to make a contribution to the country.
Okay. I mean, so my goal here, right, is to figure out what is going on in South Africa. That's all I'm trying to do here. I don't have a dog in this fight. I can see arguments from both sides. So let's go back. Let's just what is going on in South Africa? Let's see what comes up. So I watched this. Trump alleges genocide. I'd like to find like some actual YouTubers who have maybe done some digging on this too. Okay, some Trump over white okay, here we go. Let's watch the other. This is going to be another perspective.
Municipality under the previous leadership of the ANC and the current one, especially Kwakwati, Ward 16. We want to fix it and we want to do it working with our people. Our chances look very high and we stand a very good chance. Our people are happy to receive the economic freedom fighters. But you will know that we don't exist just for vote. We exist to conscientize our people on the ground. So if we convert 2-3 people to believe in the message of economic freedom, with that will be a big achievement for us. But we're going to put up a good fight. You can already see here, we don't want people from outside this world. We're only dealing with people from this world.
Mr. Malema, you spoke a lot about your safety, especially given the utterances that were made by Mr. Trump. We see also an increased number of security. Are you really fearful for your life? And secondly, just to speak about how do those utterances by Mr. Trump, how do they affect the EFF, especially going into the local government elections?
Well, I'm...
Sorry, just pausing so I don't get taken down or anything. Damn, my dog.
Not fearful. As a revolutionary, part of being killed is one of those honors you must wear with pride. But I'm not going to be reckless. When he says to Ramaphosa...
Is this the same guy who was like, kill the Boer? Is this him? It's the same name. Yeah, Malema, I believe. See what the comments say. 60% of South Africans are under mind control. Fact, they vote ANC every time. Okay. This guy is huge, bigger than ANC. South Africans boycott Starlink in our country. Oh yeah, I heard Elon Musk talking about that on the Qatar Economic Forum episode that he did the web interview on. I can't wait to see Malema as president. Okay, Mr. Miller, you're not going to die, but we'll live long enough to proclaim the goodness of the Lord. Okay, to defend our struggle, revolutionary hero. President already black people need true realization. Don't allow Trump to bully you. God bless. Okay, cool. Okay, so obviously this guy's getting a lot of love in the comments, man. Got balls of steel. So he's like a revolutionary standing up to, I assume, take back the economic freedoms, land, and all of the things that they feel they were taken, I assume, by these white European immigrants and colonists many years ago. That's the gist I'm getting. We will vote for, yeah, so, yeah, would have put Trump in his right place. Mugabe, Malema, I'm probably getting all these names wrong. Free South Africa, free. I was just thinking this feels very Israel-Palestine right now. Yeah. Okay. Support from Portugal. Africa belongs to us. Okay. Belongs to Portugal? Okay, well, maybe this guy's just from Africa. Let's see here. Okay, let's listen to more of this because I want to see what this guy's saying at the other side of all of this argument. Africans, cursed president in the White. Cursed president in the White House? We'll watch that next.
Why is this man not in jail? Why are you not arresting this man? He simply means, why are you not killing this man? Because this man wants to kill white people. That's what he
I don't
believes.
think Trump wants to kill him. I just think,
imperialism, especially the USA, it makes such remarks meaning something different. If you remember how they killed Gaddafi, they said no-fly zone and any other necessary means in Libya. And that meant...
And I'll probably see completely eye to eye with this guy on the Gaddafi thing. I mean, that was straight... That was the Democratic Party, too. I mean, yeah, man. That was the... Hillary made the comment, we came, we saw, he died, right? I mean, Gaddafi was trying to take their country off the U.S. petrodollar, put it back on the gold standard. You know, America does not like having their, you know, our world currency threatened. And, you know, yeah, we took care of that. And so, and I don't agree with that. I'm very anti-war. You know, I'm not Mr. Let's go spread democracy around the world. I mean, and that's the new Democratic Party, honestly, here in America, is they're extremely pro-war. And, you know, it's like, oh, you need some democracy, you know, oil discovered, gold discovered, rare earth minerals discovered. I think they need some democracy. So, yeah, the Gaddafi thing, I mean, it's very well known at this point. A lot of people still don't know. But, yeah, I mean, we deposed him and killed him. I would probably, if I was sitting down having like a coffee or a tea with this guy, we'd probably see I'd agree completely with this man regarding Gaddafi and the statement he's making right now.
Gaddafi is going to be killed. And that's how they took care of that situation in Libya. So we know imperialism kill. The president of South Africa was unable to defend the constitution of South Africa to say this thing that you are accusing him of and saying to us we must arrest him. Firstly, we are a constitutional democracy and we are governed by the rule of law. The judiciary has expressed itself on this matter, including the highest court in the land. If I arrest him for that, then I will be violating the constitution of South Africa, which I must respect. He failed to do that. So when a president fails to do that, you have a responsibility to defend yourself. And that's exactly what we're doing. The EFF is more powerful now. Everybody else, all of you, including Sam Kelo, you said EFF,
looks like he's lost some weight.
EFF is irrelevant and all of that, only to find it in the Oval Offices and to find it in the White House. And for a USA president to argue with the South African president who's in denial, who says this is just a small party, it's so insignificant. He says that's not a small party. This party can gather 100,000 people under one roof in a stadium where I can't even see a single empty seat. You can't say that is a small party. We are not a small party. That's why.
Yeah, so in this interview that you have, that this guy's doing a review of, the South African president was like, oh, this is a very fringe party, blah, blah, blah. And so, this guy, Malema, is saying like, nah, we're not a small party, bro. And I mean, I believe him. I saw, like, you saw the video we watched in that arena, dude. Like, there's a lot of people in there. Like he said, like probably like 100,000 people. So, I mean, it ain't nothing. And I definitely think the South African president was trying to dismiss this and Trump's concerns. And this guy's like, nah, they better watch out, bro. Like, yeah.
Imperialism is very scared of us.
Mr. Malema, how did you feel when you saw those videos of yourself being beamed at the Oval Office with President Ramaphosa, particularly noting the historical nature of Kill the Poor, Kill the Farmer song with the Constitutional Court judgment?
Well, I was not shocked necessarily. I knew that issue is going to arise, but that they will play videos, I was not sure. I didn't know all of that, but I knew that matter was going to arise, and I was very interested to hear.
Again, I'm a little torn on this. I can see both sides. I don't think, like, the problem is it's like, oh, we don't really want to kill the white people. It's just metaphorical, right? Like, that's really where this movement is going to be hurt, in my opinion. I think you're going to lose a lot of support and respect by some people if you're like using that as kind of like, you know, the motto or something. Again, I'm not trying to dismiss the claims of this political movement, the concerns, and again, I don't know South African history really well, but it's pretty easy to wrap your mind around that. You know, again, there's a lot of anger and resentment towards white Europeans that came over and took land and shit like that. So again, I'm sympathetic to this side. And I'm also, obviously, you know, I'm not my ancestors, right? You are not your ancestors, right? I don't really believe in persecuting the son for the father's sins. And so this is a very complex, convoluted, nuance issue where, you know, a lot of these people, like this guy and the other guy, you know, what do you do? You know, like, I don't know, man. If you go back through the entire world and you got to give everything back, I mean, it's going to be so hard to sift through do you only go back 100 years, 200 years, 500 years, 1,000 years? I mean, you know, like, there's like Egypt. I don't think the people who are living in Egypt were the original Egyptians, right? Those are more Middle Eastern ancestral, right? I think that was actually probably more ancestral African dominant at some point in the, like, yeah, man. I mean, if you just go back far enough, you just got to start giving everything away to everything. I mean, maybe these people here were the indigenous 500 years ago, but maybe they weren't 2,000 years ago. I don't freaking know, man. Like, it's a really tough, convoluted problem. I get both sides. I really do. I do think the media, again, is painting this in a very one-sided tunnel vision thing where it's like this one piece. Because again, Trump held up tons of different articles and photos, and then he did that video. That video we watched is clearly not from the Congo. It's from South. So there are concerns, right? There's a political movement chanting, kill the white farmers. I'm not surprised people are getting involved in this now. You know, the South African government felt concerned enough to come to the United States to discuss this with Trump. It's not nothing. It's not nothing. And what's really going on, I don't know. Again, I'm listening to this guy talk, and he seems not unreasonable. He's talking about economic freedom. You know, we'll listen to the rest of this, and then I'll wrap it up because we're almost at an hour.
Yeah. How the president is going to defend the struggle song that the ANC has defended throughout the history of that song. He couldn't defend the song as a heritage. He couldn't defend the song as a struggle song. He couldn't explain the song that it doesn't in any means necessarily refer to literal killing of white people. It was used in reference to a white supremacist system of oppression in South Africa. He couldn't do that because he himself never believed in the struggle. And that was justified when he couldn't defend the struggle right at the White House. So we know for a fact that he threw the Constitutional Court under the bus. He threw the Constitution under the bus. He was not loyal to his oath of office to defend the Constitution of South Africa, where he should have pronounced that the highest court has ruled on the matter. I can't arrest him. Even if I wanted to, I have no powers. There is a rule of law in South Africa that needs to be followed. But they all understood the language, that the language is not arrest, it's killing. Why are you not killing him? Because he's going to kill white people. That's what he wanted to project, but he was not courageous enough. You have the whole former deputy president of the Youth League who sang this song, sitting there, not saying anything. The whole minister of public relations, Kumbuzo Nchabeni, I was with her in the Youth League. She was the youngest in Peter Mukaba's NEC of the ANC Youth League. She knows the history of this song. She's sitting there very scared. All of them shaking. The president himself shaking. Only 4 white Afrikaner males were confident. It was Rupert, the 2 golfers, and Steenhuisen. Why do you give Steenhuisen to speak in such a meeting and not give a minister of international relations? That department has been juniorized and is being undermined as a result. Okay. And that's what I asked him in Parliament. That
I'm being swayed a little bit, I'm not going to lie, y'all.
You're playing with this important ministry. And we saw agriculture, a minister being promoted against the Minister of International Relations. Reason being the color of his skin more than anything else.
Have you engaged with any of the members of that particular delegation since that interaction at the Oval Office, like Kumbuzo Nchabeni and Ronald Lamola?
I really want to watch this one too.
No, I've not done
that. He gets heated in this one.
Do that. I have no relationship with them like that. So, but I will raise it in Parliament. When the president comes for questions, we'll sharply raise this matter, and I will sharply raise the matter where he failed to defend the struggle and the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa.
Diplomatically, don't you feel as if the president was on the right footing not to engage President Trump and to present facts to him, because that wouldn't have changed the thinking of the U.S. president?
So my point, I guess, is obviously something is going on in South Africa. I don't think I'm going to decide in this video whose side I guess I'm on. I feel very torn right now. I mean, this guy's making some pretty good points. I'd like to watch this video too. See if I can cut this one short and jump to this one real quick where he's getting a little more heated maybe, it looks like. But the media is doing such a poor job. Oh, my bad. I muted myself. I guess my point is the media is doing such a poor job of covering this. I mean, this is so nuanced. And rather than taking a side off rip or saying debunked, right, like there's nothing going on, that was in the Congo. This isn't happening in the Congo. This is happening in South Africa. There's a whole political movement surrounding this. I mean, this guy's talking about it. I don't understand why the media is not just doing due justice coverage of what's going on. They don't have to take a side. They can literally do what I'm doing. They can go, hey, here's what Trump said. Here's what the South African president said. And here's what Malema is saying, who represents this political movement in South Africa. You know, he's saying they're strong. There's lots of people. Look at that video in the arena. You know, the South African president is dismissing them, saying they're a fringe movement. That seemed to have offended this guy. He's going to be giving it to him when he gets back in South Africa, it looks like. I mean, this is extremely complicated. This is a local geopolitical, you know, issue that's happening that has lots of history. And the media freaking sucks, dude. Right? Like the elderly Boston Democrat Republican kind of lady that I Ubered last night, she's like, oh, Trump's doesn't even know where South Africa is. He thought it was Congo. He got it all wrong. This is all happening. The murders are happening in the Congo. Like, clearly, I don't know if the murderers are happening or not. I have not seen full proof. I mean, we can see the fleeing of white South Africans for sure. So at the least, and I mean, if I was there as a white person, I would feel threatened. I would feel scared, right? Maybe there is some justification for the resentful, you know, angry motivations behind this movement. I'm not dismissing their, you know, their obvious issues with what's happened in the past. I'm just saying, yeah, it seems like if you're a white person in South Africa, you're probably sweating a little bit. Okay, let's jump to this, and then I'm going to wrap it up because, yeah, we're at 56 minutes. This is probably one of my longest episodes.
Comrades,
I'm super interested.
You were
this.
told that this organization is dying and it's a useless organization. And it only took Donald Trump to remind all of you that this is not a small organization. It was Donald Trump who said to Cyril Ramaphosa, you can't say this is a small organization because it is the only organization in South Africa that filled up FNB Stadium. And he said he never saw an empty seat. There were 100,000 people and more at the FNB Stadium. Why would you say yourself, as a fight on our people are dying in South Africa, Ramaphosa could not of rightful owners? But amabo Cyril ba officing ya principala o kare ke ma teacher a tshwere bana ba banyane a re ko bona people are dying in South Africa. Ramaphosa could not defend South Africa.
Ramaphosa
the whole
is
president
the
of South Africa ia go America and say in America there is a crime in South Africa. Yes, we know that, but why do you say it in America? Because if you say it in America, they will no longer come to South.
So I'm assuming when he's saying people are dying, he's referring to black South Africans, and I assume they're impoverished, they're starving, right? A lot of the wealth of this country has been acquired by these European settlers. I assume that's my, given the benefit of the doubt and my understanding of the situation so far.
South Africa as tourists. Ramaphosa has killed the tourism of South Africa when he declared crime at the White House. Comrades,
tourism?
It doesn't matter who we are. When we go outside South Africa, especially in front of imperialism, we must close ranks. That Rupert goes and speak bad about his DA in White House in an attempt to impress his masters. We don't like John, we don't like
fired.
DA, but don't speak
Shots
bad
fired.
about them to Trump. Come and speak bad House.
Okay, we're freaking out here. Sorry, YouTube's giving me a little.
We must close ranks.
Sorry, let's see if I can get it to fix.
The EFF, it's a small party. That's why we kept it outside government. Today you know that the government of national unity is not to create jobs. It's not to deliver roads. It's not to build houses. The government of national unity, its work is to block the EFF from coming into power. That is its primary task, and they want to tell Donald Trump.
What is the
they
EFF
exist because of their hatred to the EFF. Let's go Butsamaka, Kebo Ace Makachule, Barbabata unity of black people. Amakachule Abata unity of black people.
So this guy's saying his movement, its primary goal is to block the EFF, which is the Economic Freedom Fighters. It's a communist and black nationalist political party in South Africa. No, wait. He said to block the EFF. Oh, I guess he's talking about the current administration. They're trying to block the EFF. Man, they're communist. Okay, well, you know, I'm not really a fan of communism. It's never really worked. Like, every Cuban I've ever talked to does not, that's here in America. Like, you know, I met a few in Florida and Miami and here in Texas, and they are not a fan of communism. And I've never experienced communism firsthand, but they have, and they tell me it's not great. So not really a fan of this particular form of government. And black nationalist political party founded, by this guy, Julius Malema, former president of the ANC Youth League. It's currently the fourth largest party. Okay, I can appreciate that they have lots of decent-sized parties. That's good. Advocates for policies like land expropriation, free education, and healthcare. Well, you know, that's more socialism, but I'm open to a discussion about education and healthcare being funded by the government. As much money as most of these governments, including my own in America, spends, it's like, dude, healthcare and education could be, you know, especially if we focus on diet and cleaning up our food and getting rid of like glyphosate and GMOs and all the things making us sick, we're going to get the cost of our healthcare down, which RFK is working on. And subsidizing or funding that through the government could be, multiple tens of folds cheaper than a lot of the shit we spend money on right now that I don't want to spend money on, that I don't like seeing my taxes go to. Okay, so now we know that this guy is the leader of the EFF. I was a little confused by his statement. I guess he's talking about the current president is trying to block their movement.
Why a formula spaza shop says I as a joiner EFF that existed before he formed the spaza shop? Unalele khegu ko Natala kwa le re ba re ke Zuma le re le batla unity le ba rena reunite le Zuma. We will never unite with Zuma, who wants to kill the EFF. Will never unite with MK that exists to destroy the EFF. We are not friends to the enemies of the EFF. Whether Trump says the same thing about the two of us, we don't care. We must never be tempted to unite with the agents who want to destroy the EFF. If Zuma batla unity of black people, why did he form MK when there was EFF? Because how from a party okay,
so I'm just gonna, because I'm not knowledgeable enough to know what he's talking about and all this stuff, but you know, like look at this. I did an hour of digging and I've gotten more to the bottom of this. I mean, I had no clue what was going on per the media. You know, again, this doesn't tell me shit. It's just like, oh, it's debunked. You know, genocide claims in South Africa, debunked. Trump uses footage of Congo. The footage that he played, I watched the freaking press conference. Now, this image may be from the Congo, and they may be this may be from the Congo, but the footage he played in the press hearing, I'm gonna click.
The White House meeting.
I'm gonna click this to save this from later, but South Africa president meets Trump. So in this meeting, which I watched, you're going to see the South African president looking to the left.
Had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this. And I would.
This is it. So in this hearing, I mean this press conference that I met, that's Malema. That's this right here.
So wait.
That's this. The farmer. Blah. Okay, so I've literally done a better job in 60 minutes on a videoing a YouTube episode than all of these damn media news reporting agencies, any of them have done. I haven't seen a single one of them done. Like, no one's getting to the, again, I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm torn. The more research I've done here, right? As someone who voted for Trump, I'm torn about the complex geopolitical situation going on in South Africa. Obviously, I don't want people to be killed, but I can understand the concerns of this other party. Now, this does seem like a bit of an extremist party, but like, dude, just to inform you of what's actually going on. Like, that's what this video is about. I'm like, what's going on in Africa, in South Africa? Well, now we know. I mean, this party is pissed, and you know, that's what this meeting was about, is they were, you know, kind of discussing this live. Trump saying, hey, you know, they're killing the white farmers. South African president saying, hey, this is a fringe movement. Now, you know, this guy is, Malema, is saying, like, nah, bro, like, we're coming
White
for
House
you, man.
meeting between
I'm gonna watch this
President
video. I'm gonna watch this video too, where I guess this guy's gonna break it down more. Rabbi, thank you for not hiding the truth. Okay, yeah, so this guy may be breaking it down in a way, but
comrades,
obviously what's going on in South Africa is this guy is the head of the EFF. It's a political movement. They're the fourth largest party. I just found all this out, right? Like, we figured this out together. And they are pissed about what they view, obviously, as the stealing of land, wealth, and resources in South Africa by white settlers. Yeah, and they're freaking pissed, man. Which, you know, could be understandable. But why isn't the media, like, I guess my real question after all of this is now that I have a little bit better of an understanding, is why isn't the media covering this? Why aren't they doing a better job? I just don't understand it. You know, I mean, I'm getting both sides, right? I listened to Elon when he, you know, made that jab at the Qatar interviewer about the laws, the racist laws in South Africa that don't allow white business owners to come into the country, which it seems like they are making an exception for Elon to get his the satellite internet company he created to provide internet to the country. And you know, Trump has obviously been told, hey man, they're killing white farmers. And I'm sure Trump probably has some friends, some white rich friends or farmers there or whatever, right? So it's on his radar. He's also, you know, again, we're trying to mitigate the influx of immigrants into our country. So again, this, you know, assuming that, you know, if you're hearing a bunch of, you know, like, hey, I feel threatened, I feel like my life's at stake, I need to, you know, seek asylum, I need to immigrate from South Africa. So we're getting a lot of immigrant requests from these South Africans. Obviously, you saw those two guys that I found on the government website and on X who are immigrating here, right? So there are people leaving, we know for sure. The only thing I have not seen is proof of murders, right? And that's probably going to be, if it is or isn't happening, that's probably going to be really hard to prove, because I'm sure if it were happening, most of that's not going to be recorded, and I'm not able to find it. And if it were happening, you're going to have movements to cover that up. If it's not happening, well, then there's just not going to be any proof of it either, because it's literally not happening, right? So that's the only thing in this little hour-long video I have not been able to find. But if you were wondering what's going on in South Africa, now you have some idea, right? And obviously, you know, feel free to comment below to correct me on anything. If you are, you know, more up to date or aware, you know, you have a better understanding of the geopolitics of South Africa and what's going on. You know, this is like, I have no dog in the fight, and this is my first time looking into this. I mean, I saw the press hearing with the South African president, and then I had the conversation with an Uber rider who, you know, obviously was fed the bullshit mainstream media line, which is like, this is all wrong and it's actually happening in the Congo, and, you know, Trump got the wrong country and he's an idiot and doesn't know what he's talking about. Obviously, Trump's being fed by people and friends and, you know, people requesting to come into the country. He's getting one viewpoint of this, right? Which is people are being killed, people are being threatened, they're trying to move into my country. This is at the top of my radar because I've been trying to mitigate the influx of people, as well as probably has some friends there. So it's like, yeah, let's do something about this. What's going on? I want to fix this. Like, are white farmers being murdered? And then you had the South African president come through, which obviously Malema is not happy with, who was dismissing a lot of this and saying, nah, no one's really being killed. And, you know, where is this? Where is this happening? And, you know, Trump let him watch the video or listen to the video. And then he said, hey, this is a French political movement, basically. And, you know, this does not represent our Constitution or our policies within our current government in South Africa. But they do have a right to their viewpoints. I remember him saying that basically specifically. So, and then you have Malema, who is the head of this movement, the EFF, this political party, which is a communist black nationalist movement that has concerns with all of the different, you know, things going on regarding, it looks like, the history of white settlers coming to South Africa. And then they are obviously a communist with a policy towards free education, healthcare, and the nationalization of key industries. I don't know why you would want to nationalize industries. I guess to get them out of the white South African private hands, with a focus on empowering marginalized communities and addressing economic inequality. So this is very vague, right? But I think we all know what that's talking about. So here's another one. We have not taken farms from white people. So I don't know that they're taking any farms. I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. It's hard. I mean, obviously this is a guy he's got the red vest on. He's a part of the EFF movement. He's clearly, I'm going to have to go back and watch more of this. Maybe I'll do another video. I find this fascinating. Dude, I am not a reporter. I am not a journalist. Like, why? Again, just to wrap this up, I'm done, right? I'm done. But like, why are these news media outlets not doing a better job of what's going on? I think I've done a much better job breaking this down, and I am not knowledgeable. I do not know what's going on, right? Like, I'm just Googling it and watching YouTube videos. I mean, trying to get both sides of the argument and what's happening here. So I think I have a general idea now, and I think you do too. So yeah, interesting. Well, there you have it. I mean, that's the gist. The problem is getting down to the nitty-gritty truth and the very complex answers, right? Which I can't give you, right? Because I can't, like, no one's covering this, right? And I've got people on both sides, right? We've got the EFF and this movement, and obviously this guy, or wherever it was, Malema, as well as wherever the other one is. Yeah, like this guy right here saying, we're not taking farms from white people. You've got the white farmers, per the White House page that we were on earlier, saying, yeah, and I don't know where it went. I thought I had it pulled up, but they're both saying, those two white farmers, that one was on X and the other one was on the BBC. They're saying, hey, we fled for our lives. So yeah, where is the truth? Time will tell, more research will tell. I started off leaning more towards, seems like something's going on in South Africa. Are the white farmers being killed? I understand this is complex. I have more sympathy now that I have a better understanding of Malema and this movement. Obviously, I don't agree 100% with stuff. I'm not a fan of communism, but I am a human and I can understand the building resentment and aggravation, and the feeling of, hey, we are South Africans, you are not. Your ancestors came here and took our shit. and we're not happy about it, right? And if a lot of the wealth, land, and assets of South Africa were accrued, it makes it very hard for those South Africans that have longer ancestry there to get ahead in life. Yeah, I can understand people being upset. I do. So, yeah, what a complicated situation. Well, there you have it. I think we have a lot more understanding of what's going on there. Curious to see how this plays out. I'm going to be staying up to date on this, so I can maybe do a little bit more digging and maybe do another episode or two as this scenario plays out. It's definitely made it to the top of the radar for a lot of people, but after seeing a few highlights of the South African and Donald Trump press conference, and then my Uber rider, making some very obviously not fully informed and traditional baseline media. I mean, this is literally the article. I mean, she regurgitated this right here, which Trump's image of dead white farmers came from Reuters footage in Congo, not South Africa. So the footage that he played was clearly South Africa. Now, this piece of paper, which is not footage is video, but this article that he's holding up, chances are is from the Congo and is incorrect. But they're using this one. I mean, he held up a bunch of pieces of paper, several pieces of paper, and this one happens to be incorrect. And they're trying to discredit the entire point, which is some shit's going down in South Africa. There's a political movement that's saying kill the white people. What's going on? Are people being killed? Are they just being threatened? Are they fleeing? Is this political movement working? Are they not killing anyone, but they're just encouraging people to leave so they can kind of take back what they see is rightfully theirs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Like, where do you draw the line historically, right? Like, when do you give back land that was taken at some point in history? Like, what's the timeline, right? I mean, dude, I don't know, dude. That's such a complicated, contentious question. So let's see here. Yeah, these are all white farmers being buried. Now, that was Trump's statement. So, yeah. So maybe, and again, they take some truth, which is this one particular article that Trump held up is not right? Like, let's assume this is just from the Democratic Republic of Congo. And then they try to wipe the entire point, which is what I gather from this article is nothing's going on in South Africa. And Trump's an idiot. He got the wrong country wrong. He was misinformed. He quoted the wrong article, and he's completely wrong, which that's not the case, obviously, either. Something obviously is going on in South Africa. The South African president showed the fuck up to talk to Trump. And now that we've done more digging, we know what's going on. This party, headed by Malema, is a big movement in South Africa. They're pissed, and they're trying to shake shit up. This is revolutionary type shit, man. And, a lot of people are on the side of this movement who feel disenfranchised by white settlers who came over into South Africa. So, yeah, there you have it. And dude, that's coming from a more conservative person who voted for Trump. I'm going to do my best to be as unbiased as possible here. I'm sympathetic towards these people who are fleeing for their lives from South Africa, but I'm also sympathetic towards these black South Africans who have historically been there for a lot longer. So, dude, yeah, it's complicated. But there you have it. That's the gist of what's going on in South Africa. If you wanted to kind of dive in and get a unbiased, more nuanced explanation on what's kind of happening here. And obviously this is very vague, very general. I explored this in real time with you. So don't hang the messenger. And I could be wrong on a lot of different parts of this. I'm going to continue exploring this, staying up to date with this, and seeing how this plays out because I'm really interested in it. This kind of stuff fascinates me. And, also, it's like with my boy Philip, I gotta arm myself with knowledge when I have those conversations with him so that I can, obviously not be ignorant of what's going on. But yeah, this is a very fascinating topic. I definitely plan on talking to my homie about this and seeing what his thoughts are. And yeah, I hope you found this valuable, entertaining, and informative. I think this was much more informative than all of these freaking news media outlets. So I would say there you go. That's kind of what's happening in South Africa. And yeah, comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. If I was wrong about something, I'm always open to having my mind changed about something or being informed. Yeah, shoot me a comment below. Please like and subscribe as I continue to grow this channel and grow with all of you and explore all of these very nuanced topics and how I can contribute to you. So there you go. There you have it. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.